Hey everyone, and welcome to today's tier ranking video. So this is going to be different from the normal videos that I do here on my channel. I'm going to be ranking all the X-Men movies. If you guys didn't know, X-Men is my second favorite superhero group, only to the Avengers, specifically in the Marvel Universe. So I'm very excited to start doing these tier ranking videos. I have a lot more planned, especially with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the Star Wars movies. So let's go ahead and jump right into this tier ranking. So I'm going to be ranking these movies in order of release date. So the very first X-Men movie is just titled X-Men. This came out in the year 2000, and I overall really like this movie. I think it was a great start to the X-Men film series, and I love the cast. I love the introduction of the heroes and the villains, and it was a pretty good plot. So for me, this is going in A tier, and it's not the best, but it was still a pretty solid X-Men movie. Next, we have X2 United. This came out in the year 2003, and this might be considered a hot take, but I think this is the Empire Strikes Back of the X-Men films, specifically the original trilogy of X-Men movies. I thought everything about this movie is exceptionally really good, and I love the characters, the character development, the acting, the plot, the story, the writing, and the introduction of Nightcrawler was so freaking cool. Like his beginning scene where he tries to assassinate the president in the White House, like that was a great scene. And the introduction of Stryker and going back to Wolverine's past, it was overall a really great X-Men movie, one of the best. So for me, this is definitely going in S tier. Next, we have X-Men The Last Stand. This came out in the year 2006, and it was the last of the original X-Men films, or in that trilogy. And I have mixed feelings about this. It's not the best X-Men movie, but I think it's better than some of these movies on this list. But for me, the story didn't do it, and the plot. It was really conflicting because you had two separate plots that didn't really go well together. You had the Dark Phoenix plot, and then you had the Cure plot. And mainly they stuck with the Cure plot, and then like 10 minutes, or the last 10 minutes of the film, they jump right back to the Dark Phoenix plot. And it just didn't really go well. It didn't mix well. And it was just overwhelming in the sense there were a lot of X-Men characters shoehorned into this movie. And a lot of X-Men characters died in this movie. You had Professor X, Cyclops, and you had Jean, all three of them dying, which I consider them pretty important X-Men characters, and they all just died. But luckily, due to retroactive continuity, they came back. So for me, this is going in C tier. It's not like the worst. I'm not going to put it in F tier. Next, we have X-Men Origins Wolverine. It came out in the year 2009. And I'm definitely going to put this in D tier right off the bat. It wasn't a great start to the Wolverine solo movies, and I hated Deadpool in this movie, and just the story just didn't really go well for me. There's just something about it I just didn't really like. Just some of the X-Men characters didn't flow well together. And so for me, that's why this movie's going in D tier. So next we have 2011's X-Men First Class. I did really like this movie. I thought it was a great start at introducing the younger cast, or the younger versions of the older characters. And I thought it was a great backstory to Magneto and Charles Xavier. And so for me, this is definitely going in A tier. And I think I liked it a little bit more than the first X-Men, which is surprising because there's a lot of things in this movie that retcon the original 3 films. Next we have 2013's The Wolverine. This was the second Wolverine solo film, and I thought it was definitely a step up from the first one. I did find it boring at times, but I really did like how Wolverine's past came back to haunt him, and for me, this is going in B tier. I feel like that's like right in the middle of my ranking. Next, we have, in 2014, X-Men Days of Future Past. I cannot say enough great things about this film. This is, oops, why did I put it there? This is by far my favorite X-Men movie, and this is going in S tier. I just love everything about it. I did read the original comics, so I'm kind of biased in that sense, but there are a lot of things that changed from the comic to fit in the context of the X-Men cinematic universe. and I thought it was just a great X-Men film. It was a great way to say goodbye to the older cast and make way for the younger generation. So I really loved X-Men Days of Future Past. Next we have, in 2016, the first Deadpool movie. I found this movie very funny. I loved Deadpool in this movie. I hated him in Origins, but I think Ryan Reynolds did a great job, and I like this movie. I can't say much about it. It's been a while since I saw it, but I think this is gonna go in B tier. I think I like the Wolverine just a little bit more than Deadpool, because the Wolverine's my favorite X-Men character, and that's probably why. But it was still Deadpool was still a great X-Men movie by far. Next, also in 2016, just a few months later, was X-Men Apocalypse. I didn't really like this movie because it was just overwhelming with the amount of CGI. I think that definitely took away from the film. There was just so much CGI, especially at the end. And overall, the pacing just wasn't really very good. In the beginning, you introduce a lot of the characters, then like halfway in the movie, then the action starts when Stryker invades the X-Mansion, and then from the X-Mansion they go to Stryker's base in Alkali Lake, and then they go from there to the final battle. And so for me, the pacing just threw me off, and so I think I'm going to put this in D tier, but I did like it more than Origins Wolverine for sure. Next, we got Logan. This came out in the year 2017, and I love this movie in every aspect. It was definitely Hugh Jackman's greatest performance in my opinion, and I'm definitely going to miss him as Wolverine. I don't think anyone will live up to Hugh Jackman's legacy in the X-Men. So for me, this is going in S tier. I think for now, I'm going to put it right before X United, but after Days of Future Past. Or whoops, let me put it there. There we go. So yeah, so if you guys want to know my top 3 favorite X-Men movies, you have them right here in S tier, in the correct order. Next, in 2018, I think right at the same time, or I think maybe a month after Infinity War, was Deadpool 2. And I think it was a little bit more funny than the first film, and I liked it better than the first one, honestly. I found it more enjoyable, and it was just really good, in my opinion. Definitely not like the best. Like, I'm not gonna put it in S or A tier. I think it goes right before the first Deadpool. So last one on this tier ranking list is Dark Phoenix. This came out in the year 2019, and I love the score. Well, I guess I haven't really mentioned this throughout the video, but the score of the original 3 X-Men films and Days of Future Past, I loved the score. I think it's Ottoman or Ottman, something along those lines, did a great job, and I overall really liked his scoring of the original X-Men films, including X-Men Days of Future Past. Hans Zimmer did a great job at the score for this movie, but I think it kind of made this movie underwhelming in that sense, because it's kind of like the Joker theme. It was just always lurking in the background, and every scene you heard it in some shape or form. And for me, the plot was just overwhelming. It was just very dull. But I like the casting and the acting. But I think I'm gonna put it in D tier. I'm gonna put it right in the middle between Apocalypse and Origins Wolverine. There's one X-Men movie that's not on this list that came out in late 2020, which is The New Mutants. I just hated that movie. I just didn't like anything about it. So that's all I have to say about it. So it's obviously gonna go in F tier. So this is my ranking of the X-Men films. I hope you guys like these types of videos. I definitely want to do more tier ranking videos, because I have seen a lot of movies. I'm not sure whether I'm going to do the Marvel movies next or the Star Wars movies, but let me know down in the comments what are your favorite X-Men films, how would you rank them, and also let me know what other ranking videos you want me to do. Maybe I can do some Lego set rankings of like Lego Star Wars sets or Lego Marvel sets or whatnot. So definitely let me know down in the comments below. But this is going to wrap it up, so thank you guys so much for watching, and if you like what I do, go ahead and subscribe and click the bell icon so you won't miss out on any new videos, and I'll see y'all in the next video.